Hi everyone! I'm ready to listen to another piece of music by Chris Cornell for this weekend focusing on his music, and it is turning into a really interesting weekend for me. If you remember, quite some time ago, the first piece of music featuring his voice was Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden. I wasn't terribly impressed by it at that time. I didn't particularly enjoy it, although I tolerated it. Now, I have listened to Sunshower, and suddenly I enjoyed it so much more. And I've also listened to Nothing Compares to You, which is his version of it. A little while ago, I listened to Sinead O'Connor's version of it. So it's a whole weekend of comparisons and explorations and fitting pieces together. But it's a good example, I suppose, of why we should never decide we dislike something just by the first taste. I know that's true, and that's why I return to artists and bands and styles of music that I might not necessarily have loved the first time, but it's worth giving it at least a second, if not a third or fourth try before really settling on an opinion.
Are you going to return to Nightwish as well?
Probably at some point. Anyway, well, today it is When I'm Down, and I'm ready to see what I have going here. But let me just say also that if you want access to some exclusive and continually growing library of exclusive videos, which I cannot put publicly because of copyright troubles, you can always check out my Ko-fi and Patreon, Beatles 150 series, other first listens, exclusive content. Feel free to check it out. When I'm Down is off of Chris Cornell's first solo album, Euphoria Morning, spelled with M-O-U in morning. Originally titled Euphoria Morning, spelled M-O, morning. Post-Soundgarden, but pre-Audioslave. It was released in September of 1999. This is kind of getting close to the 2000s, isn't it? Euphoria Morning was a significant departure from Chris Cornell's Soundgarden sound. Remember, that was my first exposure to him. And When I'm Down, even more so. When I'm Down is a bluesy 6/8 forlorn song that frames love conditionally. I only love you when I'm down. And one thing for you to keep in mind, I'm down all the time. Instead of distorted guitars and heavy percussion, Chris Cornell is accompanied with piano. When I'm Down covers a scale of vocal notes that's seemingly miles long. The journey of the song starts slowly with soothing tones before it breaks like a wave full of genuine emotion. Okay, I kind of have an idea then of what this might be, and yet I don't. So let's see what it really truly is.
What say you now? The door is opening on your vigil. Now you may use away. I'll save my breath, knowing what you're wanting me to say. I only love you when I'm down. You say that midnight opens its songs to me, leaving you alone. Then I'll fly so far away until the light blurs my vision, and I have nowhere to roam. I only love you when I'm down.
talk about a melody that just goes on and on and on. I feel like I'm watching somebody spin a piece of yarn out of a basket of wool. It just keeps going on and on and on. And kind of has a texture to it too, doesn't it? It's not really super smooth, but at the same time there is a kind of smoothness to it, a sort of pulling it out feeling. And yeah, maybe some wool yarn is a good simile. Yes, this is incredibly bluesy and lush in that way. And it was interesting to hear the opening with just piano and a little bit of drums and the kind of swung triplet rhythm which is carrying through this piece. It's a nice setup. Another thing that's in my mind is this, I only love you when I'm down. I suppose, being that it's blues style, it's talking about when I'm down, when I'm kind of down psychologically, emotionally, in the blues. But at the same time, I can't help, as I listen to him singing this, thinking perhaps there's another meaning to it which is meant to be an added layer. You know the expression, I'm down for it, or we're down to have a good time, that sort of thing. When I'm down, I'm down, meaning I'm always ready. I'm always ready. And you could even take it a little bit more, twist it a little bit more to another angle, and suddenly it has a quite sexual meaning to it, you know? And I don't know if he did that intentionally or not, but somehow I get the feeling that it is kind of intentional. And so it brings all these different ideas and wraps them into this very sensuous, bluesy style. And it's just carrying us on and on and on. And we are, at the same time, being pulled into this intimate and very personal mood, kind of down in the blues, and yet very much, I only love you when I'm down. I'm always down. Interesting concept and way of expressing these ideas. Let's back up a little bit. Actually, I want to hear the beginning again. I'll jump through to where we were. But I want to listen again to that piano opening and the way it sets up the entire piece now that I've heard a portion of it. Gotta love the swung triplets.
Door is opening on you.
Something about this, the way he sings it, you feel like there's no place to stop the music. There's no place where you're not being carried into the next note. There's no place where a phrase ends and truly rests there. It kind of comes to rest, but at the same time it's carrying you on to the next note, the next chord, the next beat. But let's stop here for a moment, because I want to clarify what I'm saying by swung triplets. Well, as I have become familiar with rock music, I have a personal experience with the expression that a lot of rock music is simply 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But actually, that's not entirely true, because I've also discovered that a lot of rock music has all kinds of different rhythmic patterns and time signatures and rhythms mixed in and passed around. Here is one which has a very consistent rhythmic pattern, which is not a square 4 time. What we end up with are a set of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 triplets. And this little 3 here marks that it's a triplet pattern, even though it's showing us we are in a 4 square time. We have these triplets, which are giving it a much more fluid, we could say juicy quality, and allows this melody to flow and carry on and pull us forwards. When I say swung triplets, well, if I clap a triplet pattern, 1, 2, 3, triplet, 1, 2, 1, 2, you can hear a pattern of 3 at a time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. And they're fairly consistent and what we would call straight. All the same size of beats. But listen to what's happening here. Listen to the drums. Bum ba da dum ba da. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It's a sort of loose, long, short, long, long, short, long, long, short, long. And it helps to set this rolling, flowing, malleable, supple quality, which is then what the voice capitalizes on and pulls and extrudes and draws out into this fabulous legato line that goes on forever.
What say you now? The door is opening on your vigil. Now you may use the way I'll save my breath, knowing what you're wanting me to say. I only love you when I'm down. You say that midnight opens its
A bit of guitar comes in here.
songs to me, leaving you alone. Then I'll fly so far away until the light.
One of the ways that he gives this feeling of carrying on and carrying on, because when you do listen, you think, he is taking a breath, he is stopping, there are gaps in the melody, but he places them very often in the middle of a phrase. And when he gets to the end of a phrase, he links that last word to the beginning of the next phrase without a break in his voice. And so it propels us and pulls us along with it.
Then I'll fly so far away.
Watch here.
Until the light blurs my vision on the night.
Listen to what happens when he says, far away until the light. That's the end of a sentence. But the break didn't happen there at the end.
I'm so far away until the light blurs my
This is where his breath was.
I only love you
I also love those that
when I'm down.
alto chorus behind.
And I only love you when I'm down.
This piano is getting a little meatier here. This is where I stopped before. So those verses up until that point, they carry us along, and it's partly because of where his voice, where he breathes and where he doesn't breathe. And sometimes when he's singing, he does that nice little lift upwards at the end. The pitch rises a bit, kind of questioning. It's a blues technique, but it also makes us feel like it's incomplete. We're waiting for the rest of it to come, and so again, we don't feel like there's a stopping point, a resting point at that moment. I like this chorus behind it.
Well, I know you're reaching out and you.
The further I go through this piece of music, the more I feel like it really is portraying a very intimate relationship. If you listen to, in this guitar solo, the voices behind, this sort of smoky alto voice chorus, and the way it's adding a layer, but also the way it's breathing. Listen to this. That chorus again. I love that last piano note. Bum. What a beautiful, intimate space special piece of music. And knowing what I know about Chris Cornell's struggles with depression, we can't dismiss that part of it. When I'm down, when I'm feeling depressed, when I'm emotionally low, and I'm down all the time, it's very personal. At least that's how it comes across to me. But he's taken it and he's turned it into an expression of love and affection and intimate relationship with whomever. It kind of reminds me of a poem, which I don't know if I can recall it perfectly, but it has this line, something about when I meet you and I see that gentle smile of yours, I can't call it my own because you smile everywhere you go. But when you show me your secret tears, then I know that I am especially close to you, or that you're especially close to me. So give the world your smiles, your laughter, but save your tears for me. Again, it's such an interesting concept and this idea of intimacy and what it really means to be intimate with somebody, where we see not only the best, but the most fragile part of that person. And it might be depression, it might be sadness, it might be sorrow, and yet it's incredibly beautiful to have the privilege of viewing, perhaps even participating in that experience with that person. And that's what I find so incredibly special about this song. You say that I only love you when I'm down. You see that midnight opens its arms to me, leaving you alone. And then I fly so far away, but I only love you when I'm down. I'm only near you when I'm gone. And one thing for you to know, I'm down all the time. And you take that and you put it with these other ideas that come with when I'm down, or let's be down, or we're down for this, and all that phrase can imply. Both, let's go with it, let's run with it, as well as the sexual suggestions. And all of it comes together and is wrapped up in this piece of music, which is lush and beautiful blues. The voice does such a fabulous job of expressing all these emotions. I guess as far as the music goes, I think one of the best things that stood out to me, one of the things that really elevated the piece of music, was not just his voice, which was fabulous, but also that female chorus behind it. So appropriate, so well suited to these ideas and the mix of ideas here. And such a special touch to go along with the piano and his voice and the guitar and drums, to have that smooth, straight, calm female chorus, which kind of steps down, steps down, steps down, simply on the syllable ooh, which of course can also be taken to be suggestive as well. All of that makes it a beautifully rich piece of music, and I enjoyed it. Okay, now, the next project is for me to go listen to Black Hole Sun again. Now that I've become familiar with his voice, with some of his styles, and Also, now that I'm feeling a bit more comfortable in rock music in general, I am going to go listen to Black Hole Sun next, right here, and I'll meet in a few hours and we'll listen for the second time to that song together and see if it strikes me differently. See whether I like it better or worse. Let's see how it goes. I'll see you soon.